have blend mode here. This blend mode is affecting just the stroke. So if I change it to darken or change it to screen, you notice that there's, because we have a white background, we don't have anything showing right here. So if I bring up an image, let's bring up that image we're using. It's still in our clip box, so I'll just hit Control and V, so we still have it here. Let me just resize it. So double click here to bring up effects. Now you notice that set to screen, we have the black showing, but it's not that quite visible. If I change the color of the outline of the stroke to probably red, now you can see it better. So this is set to screen. If I set it to vivid light, if I set it to linear light, we have other options. If I set it to vivid light as before, I could also set it to multiply, which is going to make it darker. Now we can change this to inside, which is going to be everything is going to be inward. The stroke is going to be inward. I mean, if I set it to center, it's going to be since it's 30 pixel, it's going to be 15 pixel within, 50 pixel outside. So that's it for the stroke. You could change the color here. Obviously, you could also make it a gradient. So just right now it's set to color, so we have one specific color running through. Now for the gradient, you could have 2-3 colors, as many colors as possible. So I'm just going to I'm going to set this to gradient. Then I'm going to change this from we have red to white, red to transparent, black to white. Let's just leave it as black to white, and I'm going to set the style to radial, or let me leave it as linear. So you notice that if the angle is 90, you notice that from the top we have the white part of the gradient, moving downwards would be the black part of the gradient. If you can't see this, let me just bring this over here so that you can see it much better. If I had the image, okay, I think this is much better. So let's double click to bring it up. Now I'm going to set it to the diamond shape. This is not showing because of our white background. So let's just leave it as linear, sorry. So basically that's it. You could click on this gradient over here, then here you can make a few changes. Here we have some presets. The first one is usually using your foreground color and your background color. The second is just foreground to transparent, which is also written here. So this is just a few presets you could use. If you don't like any of these, you could click on any of these portions. So if I click on this red right here, notice that the red color pops up, and from here I could change it to whatever color I want. Now I'll set it to green and hit OK. And probably if you don't like white, you could click on white, then you could change the color to the color you like. So I'll hit OK. If you want to add more gradients to it, you can also just click on any portion of the image where you have the cursor shown as this. So any portion of the gradient. So you notice that here is picking up just the colors. I do not want to pick up the colors, so Control Z. So you notice that the mouse cursor changes from here to here. Now at this portion I could click and it's going to bring up another option, and I could set this option to yellow. So if I set this to yellow and hit OK, you notice that now we have 3 colors running through. So let me set this to red so that it becomes our country's colors. So we have red, yellow, and green, and the red portion is above the yellow, followed by yellow, followed by green. If I want to take some parts of the green out, when I drag this here, notice that the yellow is overcoming the green, so there's more yellow and there's less green. If I bring the green here, notice if I bring the yellow here too, notice that there's very little red, there's yellow, and there's green. Let me drag the green here, and notice that the green is taking over everything. So this is for the stroke set to gradient. Now if we want inner shadow, let me change this to outside. If you want inner shadow is essentially going to add shadow to the inner portions of our ellipse. Notice that our ellipse is red, not the borders. The borders is the stroke we've applied. So if I uncheck this, it goes away. So inner shadow brings up a few shadows here. Here we could change the angle to, probably you want the shadow to be applied to that side, 45 degrees. That is totally acceptable. Now we have use global light here. Use global light is how should I put it? It's going to run through for all the effects and styles here. So if I go to drop shadow, it's also going to be 45 because I'm using global light. But if I uncheck it, then I could set my own angle that I should use. But usually it's advisable to use global light, so that if some part is darkened and some part you have your light is going to run through everything, and you are not going to get some weird designs. This is what I mean. Now if I set my angle, the drop shadow, to probably -125, and I increase the distance, let me remove this stroke right here so that you see what I'm doing. Okay, so you notice that there's a shadow at the back of this, and there's also another shadow on top. So it's contradicting. Okay, if I change this to inner glow will be much more better to explain. Okay, so we have light here, and the light is being followed by a shadow. This is not realistic. But if we have the light here but the shadow at this portion, it means the light is coming from this portion, the glow is coming from this portion, and the shadow is going to be shown down here. Now this makes perfect sense, because you can't have light and shadow at the same place. The light is going to come from one side, and that's going to cast a shadow at the other side. So where were we? We were at inner shadow. Let me change the stroke to just 5. It's taking up the entire portion. Oops, I pressed enter. Let's bring it up. So inner shadow, you bring shadows inside your image. Here you could also reduce the opacity. I'll reduce it to probably 20 because it's too much. We have inner glow, which we've already talked about. this inner glow is essentially going to create some. So I'll just set the color to white. So instead of just one color, you could also set it to gradients by changing these radio buttons. Okay, so now it's set to gradient. Now it's just a single color, and there are other options, but I'm not going to mess with them right now. Saturn just darkens everything, darkens the entire shape. So its blend mode is set to multiply with the color of black, so it's just going to darken every part. But you could change this. I could change this to screen and set it to white, and that's going to brighten it up. So you could manipulate with this, but with the default settings it's black, then set to multiply. I don't want this, so I'll uncheck it. Now color overlay, essentially what it does is, since you notice that our color was blue, our color was red, the color of the ellipse was red. So if I change this to blue from our color overlay option, you notice that it takes, or it overcomes the previous color we were using, which was the red. That's the main thing color overlay does. It just puts another color on top of the main color we were using. So in case it was white, we could just change the color from this portion. Hit OK. Gradient overlay is the same as the color overlay, just that it allows us to put gradient on it instead of just one particular color. So color overlay is gone, and I'm going to set this to red to white, which is our foreground to our background, and I'm going to hit OK. So when I hit on OK, you notice that it is red to white, even though our actual color was just red. So I could also change this to blue to white, and this is essentially going to take care of the entire image or the shape. Pattern overlay is going to put this weird patterns on it. I have never been a fan of this, and I don't think I will be. It's going to, probably I should increase the scale and remove gradient overlay so that you can see what is going on. So it's just going to create this weird thing on top. So basically that's it for pattern overlay. Now outer glow, let me hit on OK. Bring this one up once more, double click to bring. Let me take care of these. We don't want them. What I was talking about earlier, probably I shouldn't have used inner glow. Outer glow would have explained much better. Okay, so outer glow with our color set to white. You notice that it's creating this glow over it, and that's also set to screen. I could set it to lighten, I could set it to overlay, I could set it to vivid light. So basically that's it for blend modes, and this is it for blending options. We are going to be creating a few of our text, and we'll be using this in the next tutorial, so you just stay tuned. For now, we're just introducing you to the few blend modes and blending options you could use. So I'll see you guys in the next one.